God, I do give you thanks for a new day. And Lord, that your mercies are new every morning. Lord, I thank you that you're not there standing over us, holding things over us, oh God. I thank you that you do love us, that you do care for us, that you are waiting upon us, reaching out to us. And God, we celebrate your goodness. We celebrate that today is a new day, and Lord, that tomorrow and each day thereafter is a gift. And God, we rest in that, and we thank you for that. And God, I do pray for the new beginnings. I pray for the new creations, the power of your Holy Spirit at work here in each life, just to bring change, to set people free, to establish your will and your way. I thank you that you're a redeemer. I thank you that you're a restorer. I thank you that you make all things new. And I give you praise for that. And God, I do pray over, especially this next week, if people are getting negative feedback, if they're still getting landed on from their old behaviors and just in that negative zone, ugly place, Lord, that there'll be a stability, there'll be an ability to maintain and simply stay in a good place. And I give you praise, and I thank you, O Father, in Jesus' name. Amen. You know, even as I was praying, I was reminded of what we talked about yesterday, which is if you're not careful, your response will justify. Where'd that come from? My voice going crazy. Your response will justify in the other person's mind they're being a jerk to you. In other words, for you to start outgrowing your past. How many of you want to outgrow your past? Put it behind you. Have people start treating you in new ways. For you to outgrow your past, you have to, in the present, you have to take their responses that you would deserve from the past and respond in a different way.
Say that again.
Okay. In order for you to outgrow your past, you have to take their current responses, which almost very few people walk in that newness that God walks in, where new day, you're free, let's go, okay? That's where God's at. But people can't do that because they respond according to pain. And to be fair, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself this question. Do you respond according to pain? Do you respond in this moment according to your past pain? How many would say that's fair? Yeah, okay, all right. So, look yourself in the mirror and go, I respond to people according to my past pain. So, when I'm getting ready to connect with family, when I'm getting ready to connect with other people, it is like ridiculous for me to expect them to respond to me totally not according to their past pain. That's just absurd. So they are going to likely treat you according to their past pain, especially if there's any hint of anything that comes up. The only way for you to work that out and change that is for you to be able to respond to them when they're a little bit jerkified to you, or forget the jerkified, when they are responding to you according to their past pain. So they're treating you the way they've always treated you, so to speak. Or they're treating you according to the foolishness you've done and the wounds that you've brought. That's going to happen. So prepare your brains. That is going to happen. Now, you prepare your brain for that. Now, here's the question: how are you going to respond? If you respond according to the way they treat you, they will assume that all of that past stuff is still true. And they will feel justified to treat you as if you were still that same old person. And hopefully, you've been here, you've connected with God, you've connected with godly people, you've grown. You're not the same person, but that's not evident. That's not just like out there in their faces. So they are likely to treat you according to their past pain with you. Now, when that happens, not if, when that happens, all right, are you ready? Wrap your brains around that. When that happens, how do you respond? If you respond similarly to what you've always responded, then you cause them to feel justified in the way they're treating you. Now, where is your brain going? Your brain is justifying your response that you're getting ready to give back to them because they did it first. I don't care who did it first. If you're going to be a man or a woman of God, I don't care if you get poked and prodded. If you squeeze an orange juice, what comes out? If you squeeze an apple, squeeze probably isn't the right word, crush. If you crush an apple, what comes out? Applesauce. Okay. Come on, work with me here. Apple juice. Apple juice. Come on, give me a little help here. So, what comes out is according to the inner man. If you respond according to the way they have treated you, if you respond according to the way they have treated you, what flows through you sticks to you. You just woke up the old man. You just woke up that person that you've been trying to kill off during your time here. But if, on the other hand, you set your face and your heart and your mind and your will and everything about it, and you plan ahead of time, you might even have to rehearse ahead of time. So, lost my place. What flows through you sticks to you. If you allow yourself to respond the way you used to respond, you go back, that guy's not obliterated, he's not decimated, he's not gone. You literally go back and shake that guy and wake him back up. How many times have I talked to you about this one? You're an alcoholic and you decide, I can take a drink. The second you take that drink, even if you're not an alcoholic, you're an addict, alcohol is close enough. Don't be that stupid, please. You don't know how many times, well, I don't have problems with alcohol. Okay, anyway. If you're stupid enough to go and wake that guy and shake him up, he will wake up. And all of a sudden, at a spiritual authority level, you're dealing with it as if you had not grown at all. So I've talked to you about people literally in your house who provoke you, are a good trial run for you. Because the authority level they bring against you isn't going to be as deep, the woundedness isn't going to be as deep as family members and people that you've been around for a while. So if somebody in your house who you don't care about that much provokes you, you have an easier time of winning that battle and beginning to develop the godly man and the godly woman than you will when it's Christmas time and you're going back and connecting with family and all of the old memories are waking up. You with me? So it's Christmas time and all the old memories are hanging out there and they're kind of lurking around and it's just kind of like, ooh, all right. You have to know ahead of time, this is how they treat me now. This is another really, really good tool. Everyone will treat you not according to who you are, but according to who they are. Now, I've set out to be a man of God. Because I've set out to be a man of God, I will tell you, look, if you're going to scream at someone, scream at me potentially. Unless it becomes an issue of defiance, unless it becomes an issue of disrespect, where you're trying to run over me. Once I decide you're trying to run over me, it becomes a power battle. I have to win. So there are those instances where I will exert force just because if I don't, it starts destroying everything. But in normal circumstances, if you're mad and angry and you're venting and etc., and I understand you're venting, you can scream at me, and I have determined ahead of time, I'm not going to respond back to you according to the way you're treating me. I'm going to respond back to you as a man of God with long suffering, with patience, with self-control, with according to what I feel like you need in order for you to get better. That's what a man of God should do. Now, am I perfect? No. But I've developed a maturity, so there's a good consistency there. For many of you, family members are not going to do that. They are not going to do that. So, they will treat you according to their character. You will receive it as a personal insult. So what I'm telling you, don't take it personally. You are developing your man of God side. You are developing your woman of God side. Who do you believe you are? Do you believe you're who they believe you are, and are you going to conform to that? Okay. Or do you believe you are who God says you are, and so you're going to respond within the boundaries of who God says you are and continue to grow and develop that man of God, woman of God? If I respond according to the man of God, woman of God inside of me, then I don't wake up that old man. I don't justify their response. I overcome the immediate battle, and I grow that man of God, and I step to a completely new level. Or I respond to them according to how they've treated me. I wake up the old man, and now, once that guy's awake, good luck trying to get him back in the cage. That's just like taking that drink of alcohol and expecting to be able to shut her down. Good luck getting that guy back in the cage. So one of the things for you to do as you're facing the holidays, you know who you're going to be interacting with. You know who they are. You know how they're likely to respond. Look at it ahead of time and figure out how you need to respond to be a man of God, woman of God. I will not. Say this out loud with me. I will not justify bad behavior. by me responding badly. See, get that down in your psyche. We feel like if someone treats us badly, we're justified at yelling back, or we're justified at cursing back, or we're justified at putting them down, or we're justified. No, you're not. I mean, the question is, who do you want to be? I mean, do you want to be a man of God, woman of God, or not? And if you want to continue to grow that man of God, woman of God, you cannot justify your response back. Well, but he did it first. How impressed do you think I'm going to be when you tell me that? None. That would be the correct answer. I am not impressed with that, period. And so wrap your heads around this and plan ahead of time. How many of you can already see the one or two or three that is likely to say something that will cut into your pain zone and just fire you up? How many of you can see it already? Got one, got two, got three, okay? Now, first tool, again, please. The first tool, if you're expecting anyone to respond according to other than who they are, you are the fool. You can trust every single person alive to respond according to who they are. How many of you, I fool you a lot of times, so I kind of like that, no. But how many of you, after a while, you decide that I'm pretty predictable? Okay? I may surprise you some early on, and there's times when you, and I'm going to say more out of your past experience, you're expecting me to jump on you and really condemn you and get down on you, and I'm actually loving and kind. And there are times when you walk in more in a pride zone, expecting me to pat you on the back, and I'm like, excuse me? And next thing I know, I get after you. So there's times when you're not recognizing, say, the pride and the fact that I'm going to challenge that pride, or you're not recognizing it. So there's times I surprise you, but how much of the time am I pretty predictable? Okay? I would hope that if there's consistency, the character of God is relatively predictable. Again, he's infinite. There's times when he just absolutely surprises you. So it's not that there won't be surprises, but right now you should be able to look at people and situations and understand there's a good chance this is what will happen because this is who that person's character is or nature is. See, that's expectations that are reasonable. We expect to have power in relationship so that, well, if I'm in a better place, I ought to be able to get to kind of trigger and elicit a better response from that other person. Good luck with that. You don't have that much power. That was one of the big changes I had to make here, is realizing that I don't have the level of influence to help you get straight in a minute. You know, it's just not going to happen. So when I stopped taking personally your responses and was able to deal straight up and down at a much better level, then yesterday we talked about the tension, and the fact that you're bringing tension to the relationship was probably really triggering that relationship and causing that. Early in the program, when I had to confront people on discipline issues, my tension level was incredibly high. Well, with years of practice, I've gotten to where I can walk up and look you in the face and say, we're going to talk. And most of the time, my tension level isn't that high, which means now we can respond as two human beings. At least I'm not bringing tension level into that conversation. Sometimes still. But most of the time, not at a high level. That tension level happens because you're taking it personally, because you believe that you should be able to have an impact or cause a reaction that's different. And are you ready? No, you can't. They're going to respond according to who they are, period. And if they're having a bad day, they're probably going to dump that bad day on you. And they're going to they see from inside their spiritual flows. They see from inside their current existence. So they're going to dump on you. And by the way, you do it too. They're going to dump on you from inside of that existence, wherever it is right now. So stop taking it personally. Stop justifying their stupidity and respond back as a man or woman of God. Does that sound a little bit similar to the discussion I've already had with you? How are you doing at that? Better? See, you can't take it personally. You can't take it personally. You've got to be able to step back and understand, I want to a month out, 2 months out, 6 months out, I want to have built, I call it spiritual authority, integrity, respect, to where when I'm getting ready to act, I've accumulated some stuff. Huh? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, in Bible study this morning, I was talking to Trevor about the one important thing that you have taught me and other people in their walk is not reacting immediately to situations, and take the time to listen to God and to walk in that walk. Because most people in the program, when something's going down, everybody wants you to make a decision immediately, and you're not willing to do that, and that's frustrating on a lot of people. Yesterday, I was dealing with a high critical spirit.
Shame on you.
Not directed at people, but indirectly inside myself.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating because I'm sitting there trying to search and figure out what is causing this, and I was accountable. I went to Sen and told him where I was at and, just some irritations that were going on. And, he was coming back with, well, who this person, and I was like, I don't believe it's them specifically. I said, something God's trying to work out of me right now. And then I went, and Levi's my mentor, and, we went and talked, and, and I said the difference today is I can see it. Mm-hmm. I can be accountable to it. But I could feel that tension, and that at times when I left the program, that's where I was at. And I closed down those and built those walls up, and nobody saw it coming and just left. And he's like, just stay. And I said, I'm not going anywhere. And I said, this is a life or death situation for me. So, but it's tough trying to figure out that critical spirit, and it was aggravating yesterday. And I tried to go to God, and it was just too much distraction in that I couldn't wholeheartedly go to God, and I needed to go back and pray to God and ask for forgiveness of that and repented of that this morning. But I'm glad, because this has been my first struggle since I've been back in the program.
Now, you did say something that I want to correct or use as an instruction point. And we do this because we want control. If you heard what he said, I was looking around searching, trying to find the cause of it. Now, that's what we do. We think, wow, if I can just understand it, I have power over it. I'm going to encourage you to reverse that thing. Instead of trying to find the cause of it, you've got to just start owning that, wow, God, I'm in a critical spirit. there is no room for you right now in my temple. See, why would you try to find the cause of it? That would be called a self-search. If I'm in a critical spirit, how much room is there for God? Not a whole lot. So the only way for you to figure out what's going on is a self-search. How reliable is that self-search? So where I change the process. I'm like, God, I'm in a critical spirit. I couldn't figure out what was going on if I had to right now. So instead of the arrogance of doing a self-search at that point, you stop and simply say, I'm in a critical spirit, God. I couldn't hear you if I had to right now. Forgive me. And you stop and you wait until your spiritual presence changes to a better place. Then you don't do a self-search. You invite God to do a search. That's very different than doing a self-search. See, I was reading something from the 1600s, that I was given, and they were saying the exact same thing that you just did and that I've heard some of you do. Well, I did a what I'm finding at my walk at this point, self-searches build your ego. It's a whole lot more humble to realize that if I'm in a critical flow, I'm not going to figure it out. What I come up with is going to be arrogant, jerkified, and wrong. So then I get to a place of humility, open my spiritual ears, and I wait. And God, just to make sure that your pride is killed off, God probably won't answer you right away. So you put it out there and just kind of go, God, in your time, in your way, show me. And you go on about your life. And if you're a pride person, which if you're in a critical spirit, you are. If you're a pride person, then maybe later that day, maybe a couple days later, all of a sudden God will go, can I talk to you about something? And boom, all of a sudden you'll see and you'll know that it's from God. And you'll go, oh, and it'll be done in a way that you can't take credit for it. So, little piece of advice, put away the self-searches. They're not worth much. In fact, they are actually harmful.
Thinking of attention we talked about yesterday, it very quickly becomes critical. And if I don't deal with it almost immediately, then I live all day with a critical spirit, which I've done occasionally.
And which of us haven't? Which of us have not? Now, in the program, we tend to do fight or flight. As addicts, you tend to do either fight or flight. Two other words that I use are escalation or escape. Now, I kind of prefer the escalation thing. Some of you, how many of you are escalators? In other words, once tension hits, you build it. Oh, you want to have this fight? I'm ready. I'm there. How many of you talk over people?
I do this with myself, though.
How many? Okay, same thing. How many of you, see, now, and this is what Jamie was talking about a little bit ago about what we've taught, and when he said that, I realized, there's a lot of stuff that you got to cycle it through. I haven't brought this up for a while. But as addicts, regularly what you tend to do is to escalate. Why? In here, there is a need to feel powerful. There's a need to feel in control to kind of help counteract my insecurity. The whole time you're escalating, you're justifying, and sometimes, I'm going to take it one step further, you're forcing the other person's response. Because God crushes the rebel. He resists the proud. If he crushed the proud would take it into martyrdom. Oh, I'm suffering more than anybody I know. And it kind of goes into a self-pity martyrdom. And so if God crushed the proud, it would actually, so God just kind of resists the proud. What do I mean by resist? Okay, hold out your hand here. Hold out your hand. All right. Hold out your hand. Notice what happens. When I start pushing harder, what does she do? She pushes back. It's just so instinctive in human nature. God resists the proud. So the harder you press that thing, God just, how hard do you think God has to press to hold you from pushing through? He's kind of got his little finger out there, kind of going, oh, isn't this cute? And so you're over there just pressing to the point that you slip off and your nose is bleeding because now your nose hit the wall, and you got a nosebleed and you're irritated, and God's just kind of like, just resisting. If you'd stop pushing, it wouldn't hurt. I'm just here. Okay, so God resists the proud, but he crushes the rebel. So again, if you're a power person and you escalate things, then there are those times when God will allow you to run into certain people or situations that will absolutely crush you. Because the only way for a rebel to get better is to finally start respecting something other than self. So yes, there are those. But the typical instinctive response is to escalate. Oh, well, you gave me a put down. Well, you just watch my put down. Oh, you cursed at me. Well, you just watch me curse at you. And I'm going to one-up you with my stuff. Well, every time you one-up, what's happening to your character and your nature? What's happening to the man of God, woman of God? What's happening to the meekness? What's happening to the trust level? The most powerful man in the room, the most powerful woman in the room is the one who is trusted. When you're escalating, or let's go the other way, escape, when you're running and hiding, what's happening to the trust level? Are other people building trust with you, or are they losing trust with you? So learning how to properly face situations without escalating and without escaping, learning how to stand in there and walk it through in a healthy way. And you know what? There are times when we're done. It's okay. We've gone as far as we can go today. I don't have to hang in there anymore. It's time to stop. See, if you don't know if it's when it's time to stop, you're still escalating. So you figure out when it's time to stop. Again, escalation. I hammered that for months at one point, and that's a great topic of stop escalating stuff. Now, don't escape either. Spiritual warfare, what's the key word in spiritual warfare? Ephesians chapter 6. Spiritual, that's true. But there's one word in Ephesians 6 that it's repeated 4 times. One time it's slightly different, but 4 times. Stand, withstand, stand. So spiritual warfare, I don't strike out, I don't strike back, I what? I stand. I be a man of God. I be a woman of God. I don't escalate. I don't escape. I stand. Well, again, not that I've done it perfectly, but how did I respond to you? Now, when there was defiance, you can't be run over. As I had authority. I clearly had authority. When there was defiance, I'm going to stand at a harder level of I'm not going to be run over. And so there were times I challenged what I felt like was defiance, and so it was at a higher level. And so you might look at it as if I, quote, escalated. But I'm hoping that the majority of the time I didn't escalate and I didn't escape. I stood. I mean, did I give you an example you can look at and draw some understanding from? I would listen, and then I would come back, and I would be authoritative, if you will, because I was in a position where I could be authoritative. Now, many of you are not in positions where you can be authoritative, so you get to listen. You might get to say your piece or not, you know. When you realize you have no power over anyone else, none, everyone else is going to respond according to their character, then you stand and you're not blown out of the water when they don't respond well. I mean, that's just so critical for you to, again, most of our woundedness comes because other people don't respond. Are you ready? I can't believe he lied to me. You say, well, does the person lie? Yeah. How often? All the time. And you're surprised that they lied to you. Who's the fool here? And over again, if I was to ask you the very behavior that's offending you, the very behavior, you'd say, well, I can't believe they treated me that way or whatever. It's like, well, who is the person? Do they treat people like that? Well, of course they treat people like that. And your point is, why are you surprised if they're treating you that way, if that's who they are and what they do? But we take it personally. We take it as a put down. We take it as if they hated on us. We take it as if we're inferior, etc. Now, are you wrapping your brains around people and future connections and starting to visualize, okay, here's how I respond in that situation? For you to see a situation and think it through. Now, you still might not execute it. You still might blow it up when it actually happens, okay? But at least you visualized it, and if you blow it up, you hopefully will be quicker to stop and go, whoops, I'm not responding well. I am so sorry. There's all kinds of responses. If it was workable, a good response at that might be just a pre-plan of saying, ouch. Say, that kind of hurts. And just being honest about your feelings and what's going on. Not try to answer back, not etc. Learning to respond in real time to truth, to who you are, how you are. Again, I don't know that I can tell you what the best response is, but I'm just saying, ahead of time, start visualizing different responses you could have. Have a tool. Have 5 different responses visualized to where you start going, well, this could be helpful. This could be helpful. This could be helpful. This would be very bad. So if I'm tempted to do this one, I just need to kind of close my mouth and say something like this. You know what? I'm kind of not in a great place right now. I think I'm gonna take a little bit of time, and I'll talk with you after a little bit. So there are times when you can actually, if you see yourself headed in a bad direction, put yourself in timeout. That's not a bad thing. So what you have found is that when you respond in your feelings, it actually makes the situation worse. So then you've got to, and again, we might need to talk through it at a personal level, but then you're kind of like, so how do I respond to this that's healthy? And maybe the end answer is you do respond straight up and down, because when you're responding, okay, let me stop. In your feelings can go into self-pity. If she picks up on any level of self-pity, then she's justified in, cut it out, okay, because she recognizes it's not healthy, and so she feels justified in being negative towards you. But if it's genuine feelings and it's real and it hasn't slid into self-pity, sometimes the best thing you can do around a person is respond at that level, because it starts to force them to deal with the fact that they've been a little inhumane. So again, this is hard stuff. Figuring out what is healthy. That's hard stuff. It's not easy stuff to figure out. Frankly, in that case, because of your past behavior, I'm going to say the best thing you can do is be quick to take ownership, even though it feels like you're getting pounded, even though it feels like you are being dumped with levels way beyond what is true. The best thing you can do is just be short and sweet and say, I deserve that, or you know what? I earned that. I've been that over the years, and yeah, I'm sorry. And generally just something quick to the point of ownership in that particular situation, just being quick to take ownership. She's going to sit there with her jaw open going, you did what? You said what? And it's going to be absolutely shocking to her. She's not going to know how to respond at that point. She's going to sit there and just kind of look at you like, what just happened? And then you both are going to be trying to figure out where to go from there. It changes the dynamics. Now, there are places where people are jerks and they're just blamers and critical and et cetera, that's a terrible response. Yeah. Remember, if I'm dealing with a fear-based person, I'm responding one way. If I'm dealing with a rebel, I'm responding a completely different way. Now, we talked about a specific scenario, so I was able to say, here's how you need to do it. But if I'm dealing with someone who's just overbearing controller, maybe I don't want to respond that way. So you respond. Again, you need to think through these things and talk through them and figure out what would be healthy, what would be helpful. You almost always have to own your part of the truth. Well, we're going to have to wrap it up for today, so I will pray. Got to give you thanks. Lord, I do pray for this group and for the entire group. God, prepare us. Build us up, establish us, strengthen us, oh God, to face the holidays, to face difficult situations, to be able to walk through and to be able to overcome. And God, I thank you for a strength and a victory, and I praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.